My guy.
It's good, bro.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Taji, your host of For The Record. We reporting live from Soundgarden right here in Baltimore. I'm with the one and only Ceej, man. So look, For The Record, you know, we just kind of get to know you a little bit, know what you about, you know, what you was listening to, what movies you was watching, what really influenced you. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, for sure, bro, for sure.
Cool, man. So like, let's talk. Like, what was it like growing up here in Baltimore? What area are you from?
It was interesting, bro. I'm like half from West Baltimore, like off Doefield, and then I moved to Northeast Baltimore, out to Alameda. So
Okay.
I'm kind of like split between both. But you already know, bro, Baltimore, interesting city, you know what I'm saying? And I came up in like a pre/post-internet era, so I'm like in like the prime millennials. So we kind of like got the first intro into like what this internet shit was gonna be, what culture was gonna be about, but we couldn't really see where it was going at the time. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, we kind of in between like the viral, you know, teenager era, you know what I'm saying? So we kind of ended up being like the OG pioneers. Like we pretty much got like our PhD at the internet and social media.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Without actually having to study it. So yeah, Baltimore's interesting, bro. You already know it's like an interesting city.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the hood shit is really what's like glorified, right? So we grew up in that era. Like if you wasn't banging, you know what I'm saying? If you wasn't really out the street shit, like it wasn't, you know, that was the vibe. That's what people like idolized and wanted to be. Like you wanted to be tough. But we was more like the eclectic side. Like we was kind of like the weirdos. You know, we was respected because we had taste and we was cool. But yeah, it was like growing up in that era where it's just, you know, being cool and eclectic really wasn't it. Right. You know, out the city. So yeah, it was interesting.
For sure. And then, you know, like what made you get into art? You do so much of it. Like how did that come about?
I was always on like the creative side. Like I was always creative. Yeah. I always had an interesting perspective. This is before like being a creative or like before that was defined. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think I always was in like the fashion and the music, and I think like the art kind of like, you know, played a part. Like I said, like we was part of like that pre-internet era. So like MySpace, like building my MySpace page and building my vibe, that kind of gave us a digital like output and a way to kind of like represent ourselves and represent our personalities. So MySpace era, bro, like that kind of like, that's what kind of really got me into like, all right, like I do this, like I got like taste, like I got a creative output. You know, these people following me, they seeing what we do, they following the movement. And yeah, that's kind of like where it first got introduced. But then, you know, growing up in the city, you trying to figure out your way out. So you trying to figure out where you're gonna get your bread from. And creative really wasn't like pushed towards something like you could really eat. You know what I'm saying? It was like a hobby. Yeah. So of course I made a decision to go to school. Like I played football, ended up playing at Towson. And that was kind of my way to like, all right, like how can I like get to the bread and then maybe like the creative come back. And then it actually ended up coming back. Like I ended up like realizing like this is, you know, this corporate thing ain't for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta figure out like what's my output out here. You know what I'm saying? For sure. And you know, you mentioned being into fashion, even like how you dress now. Like what about fashion like really attracted you? I'm not gonna lie, bro. It's like the Yeisha is like my insecurities, bro. Like I had to figure out like how to be, you know, how to hide those things, like how to mask those like insecurities that I had. So I had to be fly. Like I had to be fly, I had to be funny. You know what I'm saying? I had to be the flyest and the funniest in the room to kind of cover up that, you know, what was inside. So that was like my initial interest. Like I had an older cousin that was in the sneakers. He kind of put me on the basketball sneakers, like dopes and all that stuff, like growing up. And yeah, it just became like, at first it was like an insecurity thing, then it became like an obsession. Like I just like tasteful things. Like I just love product, you know what I'm saying? I love sneakers. So yeah, bro, like especially when I went to high school and I found my tribe, like all my day ones, like we all kind of like spoke the same language. We was wearing skinnies like super early. I know everybody say like, you know, I was wearing skinnies when they wasn't hard, like, or when people wasn't rocking with them. But we was even in the hood era, like we was getting Rock Republics and Trues, and we'd get the women's size, cause they fit a little tailor, they had a little flair to them. Like we always was on that. Probably like one of the first wearing Pradas. We was wearing Pradas in 07, you know what I'm saying, in high school, rocking the Pradas. But yeah, bro, it just kind of like just naturally like progressed into like a more like deep, heavy interest. Now it's like a lifestyle. For sure. And another thing, bro, we were like, on MySpace, we were shooting content before content was content, you know? People used to tell us we was doing too much. Like why y'all going out just to hang out, just to take pictures and put on outfits just to take pictures? Yeah. Now, that's all we do. Like, we get fly, we take pictures, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, But yeah, that's another thing that kind of like being from the city, I ain't gonna lie, it kind of like held us back. Like I hate to say it, but because we were so kind of like insecure, just because it wasn't like the cool thing to do, just because the city is like, nah, like what y'all taking pictures? Y'all getting fly? Like what y'all doing? Like y'all gay? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, because we was getting fly and wearing skinnies and like it's crazy, bro. We used to hang down the harbor just to get fly, just 100 people come down the harbor, all like fly off some retro shit, you know what I'm saying? And shoot content. But at that time, we didn't really know that, like, you know, content could turn into revenue, and you could kind of build a brand from that. We was just having fun, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's interesting.
Talk to me about software engineering, man. You got into that, right?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
To be honest, bro, I told you I went to Tulsa to play football. I didn't really know what I wanted to major in, because I went to Poly, and I thought I wanted to be an architect, but Tulsa didn't offer architecture. So I had to figure out, like, who I wanted to be, you know what I'm saying, like if football ain't work out. So I started as a business major, and I went to accounting, and I seen like an accounting revenue sheet. I'm like, nah. It's like, you gotta remember this? It's like, for what? Like, like this ain't me. Like, I gotta do something like, you know what I'm saying, a little different, something that I can like either build or be a little technical. So I went to my advisor, and I was just like, I can't do like a business, like, because he told me business, because of course everybody want to be an entrepreneur, and I did. Right. But you don't actually have to, you know, have an MBA to create a business. So I was trying to figure out like what pivot could I make, and I had looked at like the syllabus and the courses, and they had computer science. And then the first thing I thought about it was like, I'm like, yo, computers, like I like tech. I know the future is gonna be like, you know what I'm saying, computer based, and like everything's gonna revolve around software. So I'm about to choose that. And then it's like, it's STEM, so it's a bag. So I told him I wanted to choose it. He was like, nah, like you shouldn't. You play football, you think you about to do this? Nah. He was like, you shouldn't do it. He's like, you're not going to graduate on time. Like you ain't going to finish. Like it's crazy to do college in like a STEM. I wouldn't advise it as your advisor, but like if you want to do that, you should do that. I was like, man, I'm smart. Like I went to Poly. Like you know what I'm saying? Right. So I ended up going through with it. It was exactly what he said. It was hard, bro. It was crazy. You had to like handwrite code. You know, nowadays, like you could put code in ChatGPT and do it for you. Like I had to actually I had finals where I had to literally write like syntax, like line by line. Insane, bro. Like operating systems, I got like a 40 on the test. Like, you know what I'm saying? I had to really grind to get out of it, but it pushed me. I ended up finishing, ended up getting in the field, and then figuring out like, I don't even want to do that in the field. Like it wasn't for me even in the field. It was cool. You know what I'm saying? The bag was great. Like I was secure. Like as soon as I got out of school for real. But I realized that wasn't it, bro. Like I started like figuring out like the day-to-day there. It wasn't for me, just the corporate environment. So I had to figure a way out. And that's when I got into like motion graphics and design and all that. Yeah,
and so, you know, you did motion graphics, got into design. Talk to me about a Web3 creative agency, man. What is that? Talk to us about that. What does that entail?
Vega studio, yeah. So I started building Vega in like 2015, around the time where I started realizing in the corporate environment, like, I was gonna be stuck in a hamster wheel. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to get to the M's. Like I really wanted to like really make impact. And I started realizing I was going to work and I was stuck in a cycle. Like I was literally going to this job to pay for this car, to literally go home and then drive back to this job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then I was just like, bro, this 8 hours out of my life. We only got 24. You know what I'm saying? So I'm spending 8 hours here and I'm not really like being fully into myself, fully into my personality. Like I'm business casual and I don't like dressing business casual. So I really like looked at my life like, damn, bro, I'm gonna have to wear this 8 hours a day and being like uncomfortable and being in an uncomfortable space. It was that I was being micromanaged, like I was being racially profiled for like how I dressed. They made me super insecure about my accent in there too. Like trying to talk about like technology and then having a Baltimore accent, bro, it's like trying to put a puzzle together. Like I ain't gonna hold you, so like that kind of like changed my perspective about like how I was speaking. So I don't know, I did it for 3 years, then they work out, and the whole time I was in there, I was creating an exit plan. Like I'm like, I gotta figure this shit out, I gotta get out of here. So I was studying motion graphics every day. And I didn't just jump to motion graphics. I was looking at all creative outputs. Like, how can I get my taste level and project it? And how can I provide value in the industry? So I started with like Photoshop. I was like, I'm not trying to just be a graphic designer. You know how you know what I'm saying? I started looking at the salaries. It wasn't hitting. Right. I was like, I need something a little bit more technical. So that's when I found motion graphics. I'm like, all right, the market and the demand is there. the salaries are competitive with engineering and tech. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna lock in on this, and I'm gonna figure out, okay, what's my medium? Like, what do I want to do with the motion graphics? So I started looking at, like, I was a big fan of like Viceland. Viceland had some like disruptive marketing and disruptive advertising, and I was obsessed with how they did their ads. So I built a whole portfolio, starting to pretty much learn how they did their motion graphics. Like, they did a little like Galaga game motion graphics out of typography. I was learning how to do that. I was learning how to like use video footage and do like quick cuts, like social media cuts. I also saw that like social media was gonna kind of pick up and be like more of a heavier advertising platform.
Right.
So that's what made me even more, you know, get heavier into the motion graphics. So I'm like, all right, this is gonna be a thing, like short, you know, digestible content with like, you know, like typography and, you know what I mean? So I just started being intentional with what I was studying, and I started putting out some personal work, and that's when I ran into Die Stars Monday in DC, and they kind of gave me my first like platform to really start like showing my skill set and showing my talent. And that's what it was. It's like everything that I was practicing and creating that exit plan on the back end, it needed like a vehicle to push it to the forefront. You know what I'm saying? To kind of like define itself. So yeah, I linked with them. They kind of gave me like a more streetwear voice. You know what I'm saying? I got to really do the stuff like I actually like and to put it out into the world. And then yeah, that joint kind of like just snowballed from there.
For sure.
Yeah.
So look, man, we kind of got to know you. You know, what was it like? What were you like behind the scenes, things like that? Let's kind of get to know more about like your music taste and like what you like watching. It's cool with you?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Let's check out the store, see what you like, anything, okay? So look, bro, you know, we walked around the store. You know, you picked up a couple things. Talk about what you grabbed for us. Tell me what you got in your hand, man.
So I got the Gucci joint. They ain't had a movie, so I just grabbed like the nearest Gucci album they had. But Gucci the movie, bro, that was like, that got me through high school. That was like the Drake era. You know what I'm saying? I was heavy on Gucci, heavy on Wayne. But yeah, Gucci had the city going crazy. Then I got the Wiz Cushion OJ. So that drink, bro, that literally took us to a whole nother era. That took us to the smoking era, even though we weren't smoking at the time. Like, they kind of took us in that era, smoking camo shorts. We was wearing camo shorts with everything.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Just kind of enjoying, like, I don't know, he was making like fun music, bro. Like he made the music. That was like summer 2010.
Yeah. We
was outside, bro. We was enjoying nature more. Like, that drink was crazy. And of course, you got the ASAP era. The Rocky era. That's when we started wearing herringbone chains and shit. And I ain't gonna lie, like Rocky put us on to the high fashion. Like, I ain't gonna pretend like we knew what like Rick Owens and Jill Sanders and all that shit was. Like, we was just rocking Prada, rocking Republics and shit at the time. And then actually right before that, we was real heavy into like streetwear. So we was wearing like 10 Deep, Obey and stuff like that. And then I'm not gonna lie, they came and introduced us to that New York like high fashion shit. You got Tyler. Tyler's crazy. Like, it's so funny. Like, I was rocking with Tyler in like the real troll era when he was like eating roaches and doing wild shit just to like gain the traction.
Like Yonkers. Like
Yonkers. Like, I was rocking with him, and I was rocking with they like mixtapes and the whole like internet crew. But when he actually started making music and showing like niggas like, nah, I'm really talented. Like, I really do this, and I really create like, you know, taste and trend. Like, that's when I'm like, all right. See, I always knew he had that vision. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just used that extra stuff for like that destructive like controversy and like, you know, wow factor.
Right.
Then for the movies, I got Friday. Friday's a classic. I feel like that like honed in like black humor and what we see, you know, that's how we see comedy. That along with like Martin and all that. Like, I grew up on Martin. All About the Benjamins too is like hilarious. Then I got The Matrix. The Matrix low-key like built the aesthetic, like I feel like the fight scenes was crazy in this joint. Then like the Max Payne slow motion, like that joint was like super inspiring, bro. Like, I just knew I was Neo. Yeah. So yeah.
And you mentioned, you know, a lot of mixtapes from Gucci to Wiz. Like, talk about the importance of like streaming mixtapes back in the day.
Bro, because mixtape, that was like the max exposure era, you know what I'm saying? There really wasn't no value outside of like building up a fan base to do shows.
Right.
Because you really couldn't get bread from like that Piff or like those platforms. But the mixtape era was like so pure. The Squad Up, the Dedication era with Wayne. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like all like the Wilt Chamberlains and all that, bro. Like we grew up on mixtapes. Like we wasn't even really listening to like
the radio,
albums like that, like that. And then we had even like So Far Gone, like with Drake. Like that was the drink that like really locked me in on Drake when I was like, all right, he on a different vibe. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like he slowed down R&B samples. Like I'm an R&B nigga. Like this is, you know what I'm saying? Like this is it. So that's what sold me on Drake. It was a mixtape. But yeah, I think Wayne like dominated that era. Yeah. Like Dedication, like he created rapping on other people's beats pretty much. You know what I'm saying? And like murdered them. Like we remember some songs, you know what I'm saying, as the Dedication. Then like. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like Wayne, Gucci, that was like my mixtape era, for real.
For sure. And then, you know, what are you listening to now? What artists you like?
I'm trying to think, what's my favorite artist I listen to right now? I be rocking with V's.
Yeah.
Heavy, I be rocking with the Detroit rap, like Babyface Ray. But yeah, like I'm an R&B nigga. I still listen to like the old Party Next Door, super heavy. I like Frank, I like Tyler. Yeah, that's right.
For sure. So look, we kind of know about your influences and stuff. Let's really get into the work that you put in. You still continuing to put in. Cool?
Yeah, for sure.
Come on.
We hope you enjoy our content as much as we enjoy creating it for you.
From untold stories from your favorite creatives to hearing what their favorite albums and movies were back in the day.
For the Record is where you'll find it all. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe
to stay updated with all of our exclusive content.
It's your hub for music, art, fashion, and culture. It's for the record.
Before we even get started, you feel me? Like, you got these glasses on. What's this about?
Oh yeah, they the Meta AI glasses. They got like the AI assistant in them.
Okay.
With the camera in them as well.
For sure.
So, yeah, they shout to Meta. They throw them to me.
Okay.
As a creator.
Yeah, that's hard. Yeah. So like you can see me in a different like what's that like? What
does that
like
entail? A first person perspective.
Okay.
I can see the whole room. I can see the like cameras and everything behind it. And yeah, I can like ask it a question. It's like super generic right now. I feel like it's still like beta. But you can ask it like a question. It can tell you some like historical data and all that.
Man, we living in the future.
Yeah, no, bro. I'm trying.
But look, man, like talk me about Vega Studios, man. Go in depth. Like what does that? Like what is that entailing?
Yeah. So Vega Studio, I came over Vega Studio in 2015. Like I always knew like I wanted to create like a business and a vehicle to scale because I wanted to do so much. I wanted to do fashion. I wanted to do art and creative. So I know I needed to build like a full studio or full agency that can offer all of those services. So yeah, in 2015, that's when I discovered the creative agency model. I had something that I looked up to, and I seen out doing like destructive work, whether it was like destructive interactive websites for music rollouts and stuff like that. I just knew that's what I wanted to do. So yeah, we really start kicking up in 2020. That's when I got my first biggest corporate client. We got Google. We was handling a lot of like their internal affairs. We got graphic and marketing. Then we worked with like Foot Locker after that. And then I ended up getting like a Netflix project. And yeah, we just started scaling from there. And then in 2021, that's where the Meta partnership came. Once I started tapping into AR, and I became one of the few black creators in the program, in the top program. And they pretty much pair us with big brands that want augmented reality. So yeah, so we're Web3, AR, VR, 3D motion graphics. Like that's what we do.
You mentioned a lot of like heavy hitters, man. What's it like working with these groups?
It's interesting. I feel like my slim corporate experience kind of like prepped me for it. Kind of like pushed me to be able to speak the language and kind of boss up. And I learned like a lot about infrastructure as far as like agile development through the software life cycle. And then of course, like working at Tidal, I learned how to like run a design team. And lead a design team. So I feel like I've been like taking like the baby steps to build up to a level where I can come in and work with like a corporate giant and be able to create value there. So.
For sure, and you mentioned Tidal. With that, I gotta ask the question. You worked on, the visual part of Book of Hov, man.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like? Were you a fan of JayZ before that? Like,
yeah, for sure. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't like a super JayZ stan, but I definitely like, you know, respected him as like an OG, and he was able to like scale businesses and create an empire. So like I've always been a fan. The Book of Hov actually was separate from Tidal.
Right.
I actually built that through my agency. So yeah, we curated a documentary. We did the directing, the script writing, all the visual effects, and then we worked on the Tower of Power. That's like the tall tower that you see when you walk in. We did the creative direction for that. The goal was to build an artistic expression based around his relationship with art. So like he had stage designs with like Jeff Koons. So like we had to build a segment around like the Koon balloons and the aesthetic of Jeff Koons. He had like a decoded book that was like decoding his lyrics. And we built like a motion graphic scheme with kinetic typography for that. So yeah, we were just trying to find ways to kind of embody his connection to art and to build like an immersive experience as well. So
that's hard, man. And then you mentioned the motion graphics. You was doing that for like Tidal with the artwork and things like that, man. Like you did it with Lil Wayne's The Block Is Hot. You did it with a couple of them, man. Like, were you fans of these artists who you was doing this artwork for?
Oh, absolutely. And like Tidal, people don't know, like that was my first like corporate design job. You know what I'm saying? Because I went from software engineering, then kind of like gave up on that and took a pivot into like motion graphics, 3D and all that. Tidal was the first like actual corporate entity that stamped me. I was just saying I was a motion graphics designer because I learned everything off YouTube. Right. So once they found me on social media, it like stamped me. Like, all right, like it's official. Like I'm moving weight inside the corporate environment. So now like it kind of established my agency as well. But yeah, like they kind of like provided artists as like a vehicle. Because one of the hardest things as a creator is like creating with no like inspiration or no vehicle, right? So working, at a DSP, a music distribution platform, it literally just gave you like the whole book of artists. Every artist is gonna have a different release, or every artist has like an artwork. So that was the first time like I had a lot of like ammo. Right. Like for example, with the Lil Wayne Block Is Hot anniversary, that was my first project. Like I walked in Tidal. The anniversary was this week. They was like, we need something on social to amplify social. I'm like, all right, like I'm gonna go crazy. Like I'm about to take the helicopters and make them CGI helicopters, bring it to life. Like I'm gonna make the explosions in the background real. Like it was like the perfect like nostalgic, opportunity to go crazy. And it's funny, people don't know the story. I did it, and nobody ever seen like anything like that in the office. They watched it in like the studio room and came out, bro. It was like I won a baseball game. They came out there cheering me on, I swear. They came out there cheering me on, like, nah, he the one. And I kind of like, I started throwing my weight around in there and started leading the department.
That's fire. And earlier you talked about how Diet Starts Monday kind of gave you like your first like big platform in a sense. And then you also work with a like Huey brand. Do these clothing brands, you have a favorite one? How's that coming?
No, Diet definitely gave me my first platform. It was crazy. I had to be humble. I had to break out the Baltimore syndrome. You know how like we don't like ask for nothing. You know what I'm saying? We don't even like, like fucking with niggas. So I had to go in there and really like be humble and be like, look, I work in this 9 to 5. I don't like it. Y'all doing streetwear. Y'all tapped in with Geiger. Geiger got likeness in the platform. Like, I need something. Like, I need, like, just give me an opportunity where I could jump in. And they was like, yo, you actually, like, a lot of people want to work with us because we up and coming, but you actually do something that we don't know how to do. Like, you know how to do motion graphics. And that was the time where, like, everything I had prepared for and learned, like, it came in clutch because I had value. Right. And, I started leading their motion, leading all their campaigns. And that pushed me forward. That got me like into DC and kind of like infiltrated DC because it's like, who is this nigga coming out here creating all these ads, and getting all this motion for these events. And the Huey brand, Larry's the homie like that. I worked with them like on the up and coming when I was like first like learning motion graphics. So that kind of gave me like a little motion in the city too. But yeah, no favorite, really. No favorite shooter, bro. I like Entire Studios. It's like a good, I want to work with them eventually. Yeah. Like, that's probably like my favorite brand right now, but yeah.
Okay, and we talked about fashion, man. You managed to intertwine fashion and technology, which is smart, Teej. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so like I said, like I always wanted to be in fashion, but sometimes you gotta like start building other vehicles that can kind of take you on that journey, that you can end up arriving where you want to be.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what like AR did. So I came up with this idea with putting NFC chips in like these T-shirts, and the NFC chip tap, like, you know, like tap to pay. They tap to AR experience that, you know, creates like an immersive world around the T-shirt. I always wanted to create like a dynamic brand that could live beyond just wearing it until it get old. So like now that it has this tech in it, like it can always have like an updated, like updating your iOS, you know what I'm saying? You can literally update the iOS of the T-shirt so it can never get old. It's like always a new expression built in. So that was like a full circle moment, because that value there, you know, outside of just creating a brand and just launching a brand, like having that piece that got me bought in Ceej, Brooklyn. So they bought it wholesale and they selling it retail right now. Yeah. Okay. And it's also on the blockchain as well. So it's also kind of like that proof of concept of like this digital twin space with like virtual wearables and NFT collectibles. Like you gotta buy it on a blockchain in order to go pick it up in store.
Fire.
So it's also teaching that knowledge of Web3 and making it more digestible through streetwear.
For sure. You mentioned, you know, teaching knowledge. What you do with transparency with the workshops, like can you talk to us about the importance of that? Yeah, so Transparency, that was my nonprofit to pretty much like breed the next generation of world builders, especially people of color. I was realizing that like I was the only person that's in the room with a lot of like these AR, VR environments, especially like with being a partner in Meta. So I'm realizing like with that comes responsibility. Like now I got a voice. Now I got to be the translator for my people. And I know instead of like gatekeeping it and being like, oh, like I'm the smartest, you know what I'm saying? Like it don't do me no justice unless like I bring people of color that look like me, that, you know what I'm saying? That, you know, didn't have a belief that they can like actually tap into STEM, because it is hard. But I feel like, you know, that's my value and that's my purpose, to translate it and make it digestible for people like me. So we pretty much teaching the software of the future, you know what I'm saying? Like Blender and these 3D softwares that's gonna be like the free open source world building software. Teaching augmented reality through Meta. Probably got some things coming up where they're gonna jump in and, you know, kind of like help bring more people into augmented reality. Teaching Web3. Because like people like, you know, Web3 is overwhelming. Like it kind of came so quick, and it's just like, if you know, you know. So I'm trying to like nurture that process of onboarding. Like this is what this is. This is how, you know, this is going to propel the future. This is how it's going to propel your future, right? Right. So I'm trying to like onboard as many people of color, as many like, you know, minorities as possible into the space before it get too distant and we get, you know, left behind. Because that's how like oppression happens. So, you know, being from the city, you know what I'm saying, already feeling like the kind of like the effects of being oppressed, like it kind of pushed me in this way. It's like, all right, I see this goal, I see where this is going, so I got to be the leader and the translator, you know, to bring my people with me. So that's kind of what Transparency is. Man, that's real. My man Ceej, we appreciate you for coming, man. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Yes, sir. So look, man, we can't wait to see what Vega Studios does next, man. Thank you for coming, for the record. Thank you for having me, bro. I rock with the platform. My man. Yeah.